everyone. Welcome to Optimal Health Talk with Dr. Ubina, where science meets wisdom and health becomes a powerful journey. My name is Dr. Ubina, and each episode we are going to explore the intelligence of our body, the power of the mind, the healing blueprint that is already living inside of you. So get ready to unlock it because we're going to use the muscle mind fundamental concept in trying to unravel the healing power of the human body. We're going to delve a little bit more into the mind. I'm excited about the mind. Today, we are about to talk about something that excites me a lot. It is the built-in power inside of you to heal, to restore, and to thrive, even when the world says it's impossible. So let me tell you a story about Dr. Joe Dispenza. It's on internet. You can go and look at it. He's a chiropractor who was hit down by a car. He's a triathlon athlete. He fractured six vertebrae, and doctors said he needed surgery. Without it, he would never walk again. Dr. Joe Dispenza, at the time, reached permanent paralysis, and he made this bold, almost crazy decision. He refused surgery. Instead, he made a deal with himself. And he says, in the intelligent power that created my body, that I'm going to tap into that intelligence and trust it with every I've got. That was just something he held so dearly, so forcefully, and so deeply. So for hours every day, he laid down completely still and visualized, imagined, and in painstaking detail that he found his spine rebuilt, nerve by nerve. He focused his entire mind and he began to recreate his health. Something astonishing happened. Over a period of help with physiotherapists and his doctors, he started walking again and started running again. And he's one of the foremost advocates of the power of mind in the healing process. But Joe's story is not an isolated miracle. Science is catching up with what is quietly known as in ancient history as that the people who have been living in our ecosystem, our earth, have been able to heal and adapt by themselves. We call it all sorts of names. We call it spontaneous recovery. We call it spontaneous healing. Some people call it miracle. In today's episode, we are going to explore that blueprint that is inside of you, which was promised from one single cell. It's a fertilized cell that was contributed by the DNA from your father through a sperm and your mother's egg. So the question isn't whether you can heal. Maybe the real question is, how much of your healing power have you yet to unlock? Let's look at that cell, the miracle of that zygote that was formed after fertilization. Can I tell you something I have learned in the last 30 years of being a doctor? After listening to the embryology class, it changed my whole concept and my thoughts about human life. When we talk about healing, we talk about the incredible intelligence of our body, an intelligence that started in the beginning. Because your story is not a story about miraculous potential. It didn't start with a diagnosis of that diagnosis you have now or the symptom you express. It's from that single cell, one tiny microscopic cell from that moment of fertilization when the sperm united with the egg. Extraordinary things began to happen. That single cell did not just sit there, it exploded. First, it became two parts, equal, close, and resembling each other, faithfully divided into the cell. And within a few weeks, it became a cluster of cells and so much more. It started to organize itself, not into a random thing, but into an ordered, intelligent perfection. And from that miracle of that division and specialization and differentiation, special organs began to develop. The first one, I must tell you, young people, our people, is what is now called the notochord. It was the beginning of the brain, a little disc in the middle and a long string on top of that. You might not have heard about the notochord. It doesn't have a lot of airtime because nobody talks about it, but it's one of the most critical players in the story that became you. The notochord was the first commanding center of your body. It's rod-like, and guess what it did? It laid down the blueprint of the nervous system and became the highway of all communications and commanding every other cell from sensation to regulation to all the things that we now see as our mind and as our body, as our sensation, as our emotions was from that single moment when that little cell began to change and began to take charge of our body. So it became the limbs, and before you know it, became beating hearts, and then it formed muscles and bones. It began to send signal, releasing chemicals, and literally begin to orchestrate everything that happened in our body. So the notochord itself, which eventually became the brain and the spinal cord, eventually had all those components. The brain stem that is responsible for all spontaneous movements, our breathing, our heart, through every other organ, every cell. Remember, every cell in your body, now 43 to 37 to 40 trillion of them, was coming from that cell, and it was notochord from day one that was the first antenna. It was a living transmission and receiver tuning into every invisible code that is in the world and the environment and begin to relate it to the internal environment to decide on how these cells begin to organize themselves. It is the intelligent, the single cell that eventually became the totality of our intelligent being. It is still orchestrating repair, regeneration, and every communication that is happening inside of you through hormone, through nerves, and through chemicals that it sends through the body at various times. So if your body once knew how to weave these trillion cells into a perfect synchrony, when would we ever doubt that it can heal itself in a wound? Remember, cut yourself and see what happens the next day. Maybe healing isn't something that we have to force. Maybe it's something occasionally that does not just need to start by impulse. It has to be, it is activated, it is self-activating. However, a lot has to do with your own input. All right, let me look at it this way. Now, we've seen how intelligent and how truly your body is seen. Zoom closer to those 37 trillion cells working together right now to keep you alive. They are balanced and they are capable. And each single one of them still understanding that they came from one source. They still talk with each other. They still have cellular communication. That's one of the hallmarks of the aging process and differentiation. It has made sense. You say medical student, when I talk about it, when you sit with it, it's almost overwhelming to realize how our body isn't just a collection of parts, but a living, breathing ecosystem of constant, intelligent adaptation. Right now, even as you're listening to me, your body is doing million things perfectly without you ever needing to think about it. Without your lungs are breathing, your liver is detoxifying, your kidneys are breathing, your immune system is patrolling, neutralizing threats that you're not aware of. Your cells are tiny repairing bits at microscopic level. They are constantly repairing. Have you ever thought about it? And why is it that we don't talk about it enough? And all this is happening automatically. You're not aware of it. It's flawlessly coordinated without any memo, without any written memo, without a manager, without any conscious thoughts. They are happening without you understanding. How does that happen? Because it has already been written in your blueprint and is connected with the external forces that made you. We call it homeostasis. It's a built-in drive that maintains a state of balance in our health. When your blood sugar rises too high, hormones kicks in to bring it down. When your thyroid goes too high, your body stays. When your body begins to overheat, your body begins to sweat to cool it down. Your dispatches closing agents, when you have a cut to pull down and come down, it gets a cool that maintain and of course clean up your body when you are fasting and sleeping in the night. It's an entire internal government of military, construction workers, and electrical workers working 24/7 to keep you constantly aware and alive. So when we talk about negative feedback loops, we're talking about the body's elegant way of self-correcting itself. So the body is self-correcting constantly. It's making measured adjustment moment by moment, unconsciously. You're not conscious of it to bring you back to health. So what happens then when your body gets overwhelmed? What is it that happens when this natural feedback loop gets confused by stress, by toxins, by trauma, by infections, by disconnections? The blueprint becomes a little distorted, but the broken and distorted, here's the exciting part. Because these systems are inherently developed in our biology, our body is wired to balance and therefore wired to self-heal. Your body will slowly begin to revert and realign itself to reactivate all those ancient codes that were built in from day one. One that made one cell become your limb. By working with your breath, with the movement of your body, and your emotional state and focus, and becoming aware of this environment, you're going to be able consciously to employ your body, to activate your body, to heal and reintegrate anytime there is this confusion. So even as it is autonomous, automatic, you can consciously change it. The harmony that we are talking about isn't miracle. It is a biological program that you can choose to switch on and off. That's what ancient scriptures call free will. It gets even more fascinating if you look at it scientifically. Anybody who have looked at all this from the clotting mechanism, inflammatory cascade, if you look at them scientifically, you realize what I'm talking about. Many ancient traditions, and now as modern science is beginning to find out too, suggested that the mind isn't just operating inside the brain. The mind is a field, is a currency that's broadcasting and receiving information from these cells and also transmitting with the greater person. Your mind projects energy outward as thoughts, emotions, intentions. But it also tunes into the environment, listening, watching, hearing, smelling, touching. And so it's constantly assessing the external environment, the biofield. Some refer that as the quantum field. I want to say this. Can I say something to you? There is a greater energetic wave that is in the universe that was actually, we now know that what was thought was to be the void is actually a living, breathing quantum field of energy. This means that your brain is not just a processor of local information. Your brain, through the power of the mind, is a receiver and it's pulling the information from the external environment, creating inspiration and healing energies from the greater cosmic scene. You never understood this from this perspective, and I need to let you know. Every ancient religion, every ancient philosophy was based on that. So when you align your thought and with healing, when you hold powerful emotions like gratitude, love, hope, feelings that are good, not change, it does not just change your inner chemistry. You're tuning into a frequency that's a little bit higher, and it also brings about things that are, and it balances the equilibrium that is distorted inside of your body. So the mind is not just a passive passenger, it is a driver, it is a guide, it's a medicine maker, it's a broadcaster, it's a receiver, it's a radio transmitter, like I mentioned my first time. We now know if there are tools to measure it. There is magnetoencephalograms that can be used to detect it. As we move into the final part of the episode today, I'm going to give you one simple, very little, but powerful idea. If your mind helped to shape your body in the first place through the interaction of the notochord, and your mind can trigger healing without a pill, it's your mind. If your mind can tune into the infinite intelligence and the infinite cosmicity, like I said, into the void that is made of energy, then maybe healing is not a miracle. It's a choice and therefore a practice that just needs awakening. I'm not sure whether that equation makes a lot of sense. It's something I have always thought about as a young man, and I can tell you, medical science is now catching up. We'll talk about placebo and some of the factors, some of the things that are called miraculous healings and things we could not explain, but they happened, and we wonder what happened to them. But before we close, we are going to do a part two. But before we close today, I want to invite you into this very short. Wherever you are now, I want you to go to a safe environment and close your eyes for a moment. Let's do this. I want you to close your eyes quietly, just by yourself. Begin to become aware that you're breathing in the first place because you're not aware you're breathing. Put awareness on your breathing and take slow, deep breath through your nose and exhale softly through both your nose and your mouth. So let your shoulder drop, relax your jaws, and let your hands begin to soften. Continue to breathe deep in and out and slow your breathing rate down. Now, I want you to imagine the first thing that happened when you were created. A tiny, tiny little cell carrying all the codes, all the intelligence, all the potential for everything that will become you today. And therefore, begin to understand that that cell is still growing. It's still growing inside of you right now with every passing moment, with every passing breath. I want you to be grateful that you're here to witness this. As you breathe, I want you to imagine that little light that is in that cell begin to multiply inside of you as it did on the very first day. And one cell become 2, 4, and 8. It becomes 16, 36. And with each division that is faithfully translated to each cell, each expansion carries the same blueprint, the same wisdom, the same instructions from the beginning of time for healing and for thriving. I want you to inhale and exhale continuously. And imagine that light now reaching every corner of your body as these cells multiply to 43 trillion cells. Put your chest, your arm, yours, and put them in that symphony, a living symphony of light of all these cells communicating with each other. Because they are all friends, they know each other from day one. And they are the ones that puts the light in you and keep you alive. You are not broken. Diabetes, high blood pressure, cancer, whatever it is, you're not lost. You're not a mistake. Your doctors are working hard to put you together. They have all the tools now. You are a miracle in motion. So as your doctors are working, you need to generate that reception inside, built into adapt, built into heal, and built into thrive. We all know that every single thing, every single breath that you take is in that light. So when you're ready, after you've gotten to this point, understanding that inside of you is a living body, you can begin to slowly open your eyes because you're back. You are home and you're a healing blueprint that is alive. So this is what I want you to go to do today because this is part one. This is to introduce you to the cell, to that one single cell we talk about. So I want to thank you for joining me today because in the next episode, we are going to expand understanding the evidence we now have that our body has this intrinsic ability to heal itself. So I invite you to subscribe and leave a review and leave any comment. Your body's healing intelligence is waiting for you in every step that you take. It brings you closer to your optimal health. And you know that that's why I'm here. Every episode, I am going to open your eyes to things that you never thought about, that's not talked about. But I want you to stay empowered and stay well. I want you to do due diligence. The information superhighway is so open, it's so free. Quantum entanglement won Nobel Prize in 2022. I want to take you through some of the things you may need to do that. Epigenetics, telomeres, which tells us about the fidelity of the and faithfulness of the division of these cells, started from Hayflick's limit, from, of course, Watson and Crick in 1963. And we know about telomeres that is responsible for healing, and DNA polymerases that tend to help our body to become faithful in the healing process, that makes sure that the cells remain faithful from the same cell along the line. However, epigenetics, therefore, won Nobel Prize in 2012 to tell us that despite that blueprint, no matter how much is in it, that your own lifestyle, your own environment can switch on and off any of those blueprints that is said to have been genetic inheritance. Nobel Prize of Medicine in 2012 went to the science of epigenetics. 16, we opened our eyes to autophagy that tells us that nature had already also built in some of the modifiers in us, that just by fasting, staying away from food for a while, we will initiate a cleaning crew that will invariably turn our body and revert it back to where it was in the early days. And that is because we have a part of that gene inside of us that can trigger that cleaning crew. And the next year, we realized that the rhythm, which is the movement of the earth and the evolution of the earth around the sun, they play a huge role in what is going on inside of us, which is why I believe that quantum entanglement, though it did not talk about medicine, about the interconnectivity of the energy in the universe, is correct. So we are all part of this whole grand cosmic scene, because every cell in our body, every metabolic pathway in our body, every hormonal part of our body goes through everything called the secret. They have identified specific protein that proves that, and it won Nobel Prize of Medicine in 2017. So when we bring all of this together in the next episode, you're going to realize how much power you possess as a human being in our current paradigm. Despite what the diagnosis may look like, despite what the outlook have been said, if you go and look at the encyclopedia, it is now a book. It's called Encyclopedia of the Spontaneous Healing, but I think it's Miraculous. You realize that most of them, some by even doctors, there was no other explanation you can give to some of those so-called spontaneous healing and what is done as miracle, except for the fact that they were initiated by the strong belief of the person who originally was thought to be a victim or a patient. The doctors are very, very useful. They are supposed to be the guardian of your healing process, but it is he who feels it that knows it. You still have the power to help your doctor through your own strong, deep, positive feeling, especially what is now called placebo. It's not just about placebo. It is sometimes something that you can intrinsically activate. Thanks for joining. I'll see you next time.